All right, we are going to finish chapter 2, and that will put you as online students in the same spot, are finished with the same material that my face-to-face students have completed. Now, I think we have covered some of this information previously, but I want to review it just a little bit, and then we'll get right through the rest of this material. In fact, I think I'll just take it out, and it'll be a little bit easier for me to deal with it. Today is Monday, the 21st of September, and this will be section 2b, meaning chapter 2. You had 2, the first part of the chapter, 2a, and this will be 2b. So we will have had 3 lectures to get us to this point. And we have been talking about the nativists and the behaviorists. And the nativists are aligned with Noam Chomsky, and he is someone who focused on the grammatical structure of language. And the nativists believed that genetics was very important in the child's ability to learn language, that they were born with this vat of information, and all that had to happen was this information had to be tapped into. It was there, it was ready to be used. The behaviorist, on the other hand, is aligned with B.F. Skinner, and B.F. Skinner feels or felt that the behaviorists were supporting language learning through imitation and reinforcement. And that reinforcement was in the form of operant conditioning, primarily. And you had a reinforcer, and there was a punishment, and that the environment was the most important part of the behaviorists. Now, the behaviorists said, well, maybe there's a little bit of an influence of genetics. And the nativists said, who believed that genetics was the primary impetus behind language development, said, well, maybe there's a little bit of the environment that's there. But primarily nativist genetics, behaviorists, the environment. Then we talked about the social interactionist, that interactionist theory in which the focus was on genetics and the environment. Well, the interactionist viewpoint offers 3 different views: the semantic view, the cognitive view, and the social interactionist view. Now, if I say to you, well, what do you think the semantic viewpoint focuses on? Well, if you know what semantic means, you can pretty much, or should be able to tell me what the semantic viewpoint focused on. Remember, it was that transformational generative grammar from Chomsky and the structure and the syntax. Well, the semantic view focus shifted from language structure to the meaning, the child's intent, what the child was trying to say through grammar. The grammar may not be perfect, but what was the child's intent? What were they trying to convey? It's directly related to cognition. Directly related to cognition and the ability to use language and construction of meaning. So what they're saying is you can't separate meaning from the grammar. The grammar may not be perfect. Uh, there may be structural problems, verb problems, pronouns misused, but what was the intent? We have to look at the intent because it does have value. The viewpoint of the semantics argues that for a language to be truly generative, it must generate meaning as well as structure. So you really shouldn't have to think about that semantic viewpoint because we've talked about semantics. So you should be able to come up with that one. If you remember, I know I showed these 2 pages about Fillmore and case grammar, and I said these 2 we're not going to worry about. There are so many other theories we could talk about, but I think that it's more important to talk about the theories that are more popular or maybe a little more contemporary, I'm not sure. Then if we talk about Piaget, we're going to talk about the sensory motor period for sure. And if you think about your senses, your 5 senses, and then that motor component that's thrown in there with a special emphasis, and the sensory motor period extends from birth to the age of 2. Now, we haven't really talked about this yet, but language explodes at the age of 2, around 16, 18, 24 months. Language literally explodes, and this is a period of critical speech and language development between birth and the age of 2. All theories accept that a relationship does exist between cognitive development and language development. And you maybe have heard me say cognition and language run parallel. They're separate, but it's really difficult to actually separate the 2 because they are so intertwined and intermingled. The cognitive view of language emerges as a product of cognitive organization and maturation, that brain plasticity that we've talked about. The brain is able to flex, the brain is able to adapt, and you've got that corpus callosum, which is allowing information to move from one side to the other. Imitation is very important, and the behaviorists said that imitation is very important, and we're stressing some logical structure of the language. If I said to you, a while back we talked about morphology, syntax, pragmatics, semantics, and we talked about what those 4 areas of language mean. So if I said to you, language is used to get things done, to solve problems, to share information, language is used to get things done. Which one of those 4 areas does that definition remind you of? What does that fall into? Which one of those areas? Pragmatics, semantics, syntax, and morphology. Which one? Any thoughts? In class, we went through a couple before I got the right answer. And if you said or if you thought pragmatics, you're right. Remember when we talked about pragmatics, we said it's language used to control a situation or to get things done. Another theory that's thrown in there is the information processing theory. And this theory suggests that we process information much like a computer does. And that, there again, we have Fillmore and case grammar and this information processing theory. We have to take information, we put it into some kind of symbolic code or abstract symbols such as syllables, words, and we put it together in structure. We have to follow the rules. We have to have intent with what we're talking about. And we piecemeal our language together as we mature. So the middle ground view is the socialist interactionist. And they feel, as I feel, that environment plays a part and the environment plays, genetics plays a part and the environment plays a part. And maybe it's not equal, but you have to have both components. You have to have a typically developing brain. You have to have be free of intellectual deficits. We want to be free of any kind of brain trauma. And if we are typically developing, the genetics are there and the environment is there, and the two come together, and we get that support that we need from the environment to learn the language. Some of the interactionists are stronger with their beliefs with the nativists, and some of the interactionists lean more toward the environment. But the point is, you can't ignore one or the other as being clearly the predominant reason. Interactionist, as we talked about, focuses on language as known as pragmatics. The caregiver will keep some vocal interaction going with an infant, a young toddler, by attaching meaning to what sounds they produce. The parent is talking with the child, and the child is very in tune with the parent, and they're watching them, and the parent says, "Oh, you have such pretty hair. I like your hair. It's so pretty, and you have pretty curls." And the infant or the toddler may make a sound. "Oh, do you think so too? You like my hair? You think my hair looks good today too? Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Good talking. Good job." Well, that isn't what the child said at all. But what you've done is you've attached meaning to it. And then you might pause and wait, and the child, you might look at them and smile, and the child might make another sound or make two sounds, and you attach meaning to that. "Oh, I like that brown color. I do." And this is called expansion too, because it's a way that we keep things, conversations going. If we want to go from a single word stage to a two-word stage, we would imitate and expand by one. It's the interaction, it's our involvement that helps to keep that language going. Therein lies the importance of the caregiver or the parent. And remember, we've talked about how important it is for you to be talking to children. It increases academic performance by the time they're 9 or third grade, fourth grade. So the interaction, the talking, hearing language is all very important. And you have to have another person there in order to do that. And you're facilitating that turn taking. Language and communication is turn taking. You say something, I say something. Maybe I'm sitting on the floor maybe 3 feet away from at least a 6-month-old who can sit up. And I say, my turn, and I roll the ball. Your turn. Come back, roll it back. Ball. Maybe I'm going to sign ball. Back, roll it back. And maybe you have to do a little hand over hand to help. Oh, good job. My turn, my turn. Then maybe when you push it back, the child picks it up and goes, ball, ball. Yes. Big ball, big ball, ball roll. So you imitated and you expanded by one word. You're moving from single word stage to two word stages. Imitate, expand by one, and that helps the child begin to learn to string words together. We use different language with different people in different situations. Sometimes we talk to a select group of friends differently than another group of friends. But certainly we talk differently to our parents than we do our friends. We maybe have a loose tongue when we're talking with our friends and using more slang or colorful language that we may not use with our parents or want our parents to hear also. But, and we're going to talk to children differently than we do adults. We're hopefully exhibiting more patience. We're waiting and giving them time to generate some language, to explain themselves. We don't always have the time that it takes to raise children and to provide the perfect stimulating environment. But hopefully we are using kind, soft, gentle words as we're trying to teach our children the language. The two videos that I did ask you to watch focus on mother ease, parent ease, and I also included in your PowerPoint slide father ease. And this is a way that we talk to infants. We use a rising pitch. We're using simple language, not using lots of words. We may be repeating words. They may be grammatically correct, and what we say may be grammatically correct. And it's a way to get and keep the child's attention. It's definitely an avenue for bonding. And what's interesting is an infant's line of vision is about 7.5 to 8 inches. Let me get my ruler here. So if I'm going to hold that baby, let me see, that 8 inches is right here. So I'm holding that baby, and look at the line of vision. Just 8 inches or just a little bit more. So when I'm holding the baby, I've got the baby maybe in a blanket. I've kind of got him tucked into the crook of my arm. I might be in a rocking chair, and 7.5, 8.5 inches right here in that baby. Oh, look at that pretty baby. Oh, what a big yawn. Oh my goodness. What a big yawn. Yeah, are you sleepy? Oh, yeah. The baby's watching your face. Babies prefer faces. They want to see movement in your face. Watch your eyes. Watch your mouth. They see different lines and shapes and angles when they're looking at a face. And shortly after birth, that baby's going to be able to see 7.5 to 8 inches. And that's just truly phenomenal. But that mother ease is a nice, safe, comfortable place for that baby. and you might be patting that baby. You have some rhythm going. Oh, yes. Look at all that hair you have. Oh, what a sweet baby. Sweet baby. Yes, you're mommy's baby. And you're building a bond with that baby. And supposedly there is no specific evidence to suggest that this technique is essential for normal language development, but I will tell you it's a great facilitator for emotional bonding. And if we aren't emotionally bonding with our children and our infants, there's going to be trouble down the road. That child needs to bond with someone, and hopefully it's with a parent. There was a lady that came into clinic, and she came in with her child who was going to go through diagnostics. And I'm not really sure how they got here to campus. I'm thinking maybe the bus, because they walked from the corner or something, and it was raining, and the child didn't have shoes and was very wet by the time they got here. And the mother was talking sort of erratically, difficulty following the conversation. The child was, I think, hungry, and so therefore the child was, I won't say was exhibiting bad behavior, but what I will say was grouchy, just couldn't really be soothed or calmed, just irritated, and somewhat aggressive. And someone later said they thought maybe that she was hungry, but the child would go to anybody, and um, for for hugs, comfort, uh, and really didn't seek comfort from the mother. And typically children will go to mom or dad or some familiar person who is important to them. This child was not seeking comfort from the mother. And my first thought was, this child just hasn't bonded with this woman. And I don't know if mom didn't attend to this baby, didn't change her diaper, didn't feed, didn't hold her, didn't hug her, didn't comfort her. I'm not really sure, but I did question, has this child bonded with this mother? Didn't appear to, just from the behavior that we saw from the child. I'm not a psychologist, and certainly not an expert in that area. It's out of my scope of practice, but bonding I've seen and I haven't seen, so it is important. The fatherese comes into play because when I talked about parentese in other classes, I had a young man in my class, and he said, well, why isn't it called fatherese? I would do that with my infant. I would hold my baby and I'd talk to my baby like that. And I said, you're absolutely right. It should also be called fatherese. So therefore, we have parentese thrown in there too. The interactionists do believe that parentese is ideally designed to help children learn language. And I don't think there's an argument against that. I think it definitely plays an important role in the child's security, safety, in order to feel comfortable for language to develop. Children need to be safe. It's easier for the child to imitate single words, one-syllable words, simple sentences. So they may hear you say the same word over and over. That repetition is important. And we pause and we look at the child in a loving way, and maybe we're stroking the child's cheek, and we might tickle a little bit and get a smile, and uh, make funny sounds, or la 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 la, or blah, 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 just things like that. I've spent time with babies, and I'll go blah, blah, and the baby go as if they're trying. The movement is such that it was a very basic, early, raw attempt at imitation. Okay, let's see. Social interaction is also believed that the child is a communicator from birth with the family and caregivers. Mothers will tell you there's a different cry for wanting the diaper changed, wanting to eat, not feeling good, cranky because they're tired. So there's definitely communication of different emotions and different feelings. We may not have a consensus about how children develop and acquire language, but we know that these theories are showing us and sharing with us some very important, a strong case for the information that we have so far through imitation and genetics. And we're shaping the environment that our kids live in. So, I do believe, let me look at one more slide. But I do think that that does it for us. So that is the end of chapter 2 and focusing on learning language. So I'll close this out, and then for the Wednesday lecture, I will start with chapter 2. Hope everybody's doing well, and I will talk to you later. Bye.